Let me tell you the real reason why you keep procrastinating on your idea and what to do about it. In this video, I'll tell you about the three real reasons I almost never started the Rally Points Limited. Not the surface reasons, the deep, honest ones that I felt almost too embarrassed to admit. It was when I finally faced them head on that everything changed. And I think at least one of them is going to sound very familiar to you. But before I get into the real reasons, let me give you a bit of context, right? I spent over 10 years working in operations, that's no news. I drafted policies, frameworks, and standard operating procedures for organizations. I participated in due diligence exercises for small businesses. I helped build capacity in organizations from the ground. By every measure, I had the knowledge, the experience, and the skills to start a business process automation consultancy. But I didn't start. For 3 good years, I did not start. And the reason had nothing to do with capacity, but they had everything to do with what was going on in my head. Now, let's get into these challenges that kept me stuck. Challenge number one, I felt completely inadequate. Even with the 10 years of experience behind me, even with all the frameworks and SOPs I had written, even with all the due diligence I had participated in, and all of the small organization I had helped build capacity for, I still felt like I didn't know enough to make a difference. I kept thinking, who am I to start this business? What do I really know? What if someone asks me a question and I cannot answer? What if I get in front of a client and they see right through me? And so I kept waiting, waiting to know more, waiting to feel more qualified, waiting for a level of expertise that kept moving further away the closer I got to it. Now, here is what I know now. The knowledge I was waiting to acquire already had it. I had been living it for over a decade and still do. If you have the same challenge, what can you do about it? Now, in the defined stage of the dream framework, it addresses this challenge, which is getting clear on not just what your idea, but how to bring it to life. Because your experience is your credibility and you have more of it than fear is letting you admit. Now, let's get into challenge number two. I was convinced the market was too saturated. There were already so many people in the business of helping SMEs build structure, consultants, coaches, agencies, all doing variations of what I wanted to do. I kept asking myself, what am I going to offer that is so different? How am I going to stand out? How am I even going to land a client, let alone build a business? And the more I looked at the competition, the smaller I felt. The more established they seemed, the more impossible my idea looked. I used the saturated market as a reason to stay where I was. But here's what that thinking was doing to me. It was using other people's success as evidence that there was no room for mine. And that is simply not true. A saturated market does not mean there is no demand. It means the demand is proven. People are already spending money on exactly what you want to offer. The question is not whether the market exists, it clearly does. The question is what unique angle, experience, and perspective do you bring to the market? Now, the solution, stop trying to be different from everyone. Start trying to be specific to someone. You do not need the whole market, you need your corner of the market. The Rally Point Limited was not built for every SME in the world. It was built for a specific type of organization with a specific type of need, and that specialty is what makes it stand out. Make sure to pick a pen and paper for this one. It's going to be interesting. Now write down your experience honestly, not modestly, honestly. When I actually sat down and documented everything I had done, every policy drafted, every framework built, every organization I had helped, I realized I was already an expert. I just hadn't given myself permission to call myself one. Now, in the defined stage of the dream framework, it addresses this challenge, which is getting clear on not just what your idea, but how to bring it to life. Because your experience is your credibility and you have more of it than fear is letting you admit. The research stage of the dream framework helped me get clear on exactly this point. Who my specific audience was, what they specifically needed, and how my specific experience made me the right person to serve them. When you stop trying to compete with everyone and start speaking directly to someone, everything changes. Challenge number three, and this one was the most personal, the most difficult, and honestly the most paralyzing of all three. I am an introvert. I function best in solitude. I do my deepest thinking alone. I am most productive when it is quiet, and I genuinely tremble when I have to speak in front of a crowd. When I thought about starting a business that would require me to put myself out there, to market myself, to talk about what I do in front of people, I froze completely. How was anyone going to hear about the Rally Points Limited if I was too afraid to talk about it? How would people know what it was, what it stood for, what it could do for them, if the person behind it could barely speak in a room full of people? Now you understand what I'm trying to say. I genuinely believed my personality was a barrier, that I was built wrong for entrepreneurship, that the world of business belonged to the loud, the confident, and I was none of those things, right? But here is what I discovered, and this changed everything for me. Marketing does not require you to be loud, it requires you to be authentic. And authenticity, that is something introverts do better than almost anyone. For me, it started with writing. Writing felt safe. Writing felt like something I could do alone in my own time without anyone watching. Because every single time I sat in front of a camera in those early days, it felt exactly like standing before a crowd. The same trembling, the same racing heart, the same desperate urge to run. If you're experiencing this, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But I knew something important. I knew that if I wanted to build the Rally Point Limited the way I had envisioned it, I had to be on camera. I had to show up. I had to be seen. I made a decision, not a comfortable one, but a necessary one. I determined to improve. And I want to be honest with you. My early videos were not so good. If you go back and watch them, you would see exactly what camera shy looks like on the screen. I talk about it openly because I think it is important for you to know. But here is what I also want you to know. They were better than nothing. Those videos were better than nothing. And every single video after that one was better than the one before it. I am not perfect now. My editing skills are still growing, as you can see, but I am better than when I started, and I'll be better from tomorrow than I am today. That is what the experimental stage of the dream framework is really about. Not finding the perfect format immediately, but being willing to try, to fail, to learn, and to keep going no matter the circumstances. Progress over perfection every single time. Now, what's the solution? Find the marketing format that matches your personality, then commit to growing within it. You do not have to become someone you are not to build a successful business. You just have to find the channel that lets you be exactly who you are and then show up consistently, improving with every single attempt. Introversion is not a weakness, it is a different kind of strength. And once I stopped fighting mine and started working with it, everything opened up. Now, look at those three challenges again, the ones that I've just mentioned in this video. Feeling of inadequate despite 10 years of experience, believing the market had no room for me, thinking my personality made me unfit for business. None of them were facts. Every single one of them was a story I was telling myself. A story rooted in fear, fear of being seen, fear of being judged, fear of trying and failing publicly. And here is what I want you to understand. Your brain creates those stories to protect you for only God knows what. But protection and growth cannot coexist. At some point, you have to choose between them. The dream framework gave me a process for choosing growth, step by step, stage by stage, in a way that made the fear manageable rather than paralyzing. And that is exactly what I am going to walk you through in the next video. Let me ask you something. Which of those three challenges do you recognize in yourself? Is it feeling like you don't know enough? Is it looking at the competition and feeling like there's no room for you? Or is it something about your personality that you've been telling yourself makes you wrong for your business idea? Drop it in the comments. Be very honest. I read and reply to every single one of them. And subscribe right now because in the next video, I am breaking down the full dream framework, the exact 5 process that took me from 3 years of paralysis to launching the Rally Point Limited in under 3 months. Hit the bell so you don't miss it. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, bye bye.